What's up, YouTube? So, in this video, we're going to be talking about A.J. Brown, wide receiver, Ole Miss. So, to start things off, I'm going to say he's a good, big-bodied receiver. He's about 6'1", about 230 pounds, so he's a big boy for a receiver. One thing I really like from him is that, well, actually, for starters, I really do like A.J. Brown. I like him a lot. Definitely be a good complimentary guy. Number one receiver in the right situation, possibly. But yeah, I like that he gets his head around quickly when he's breaking out of a route. For example, on a slant, the second he opens up those hips and turns, he's already got his head snapping around to the quarterback, waiting for the ball. He gets around quick, so his awareness is pretty good there. Also, another thing I really like from him is that when he's coming out of a route, like something like a post or a slant, he comes out very flat. He runs straight flat down toward the sideline, and I like to see that because if you create separation from the defender, and if you're coming at him at an angle, that's going to give him the opportunity to catch up and go after the ball. But if you come flat, once you've already beaten him, then you're going to have the advantage, and he's not going to be able to catch up to you as easily. So that's one thing I really like from him. He, as far as his actual speed goes, he's not going to, like, completely burn you. But he's pretty fast for being 230 pounds. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'll say about that. He's a big-bodied receiver. He's not going to completely burn you with speed, but his speed isn't an issue either, by any means. He's fast enough. He's very good about catching with his hands. He doesn't catch with his body, so that's always a bonus. Ole Miss used him a lot in the slot, but he can play outside. I like him a lot in the slot because he's pretty big. Can actually block okay. So having him closer in can have some bonuses. Plus, he's not all that quick, so not having him on the outside sometimes could be good. But he can play outside. He is fast enough to play outside if you want him to. He's big, physical, so he can use that size and strength against those corners to beat them with like jump balls and such. So if you want to put him outside, you can. He's very versatile that way. He will break tackles from like corners and maybe some safeties. He can break out of tackles. He's pretty physical, which is something good to see. He's not big for nothing like some receivers. There's a lot of receivers and players in general that have that size for their position, but they don't use it properly. But he's not one of them. He's very physical. Considering his size, his route running is really good. I really like his feet. They're very precise going into his routes. He's got nice hesitation when he needs to. He does a lot of good head and hand fakes to create separation. One thing I'd like to see him is I'd like to see him drop his hips a little bit lower, because when you drop your hips lower when you're breaking out of a route, you can move your feet a little bit faster and break a little bit quicker and create more separation. But considering how big he is, I'm not mad at him for not getting too low. His route running is very good for being as big as he is. He tracks the ball in the air very well. He doesn't miss the ball too often. He's also very competitive. Just from the film, he seems to be very competitive, a little bit fiery sometimes, which for a receiver is something very good to see. Not always the greatest thing for a quarterback or something, but for a receiver, especially a physical receiver, it's good to see that he can be pretty competitive. And I mentioned it in passing earlier, but he is a fairly decent blocker for a receiver, which is good to see. He gets some value there, especially in the slot. If you're more of a running team, that could really help you out. I mean, he's not the best blocker out of the receivers. I have seen a couple receivers that are better blockers than him. But he is pretty good. Deebo Samuel is probably a little bit better of a blocker than him, but overall, I think AJ Brown is the better receiver. So far, he's, in my opinion, the best receiver in this class. I have not looked at everybody, though, so don't quote me yet. I might do a ranking video eventually for each position. I'm not sure yet. But right now, I haven't seen enough receivers to be able to do that. Right now, he's at the top of my list, though. But yeah, there's not a whole lot more to say. He's another quick run through. I really like him. He is a very good route runner for his size. He has quite a bit of nuance. I think he can learn a little bit more for route running when he gets to the league, especially if he gets a good receivers coach. I mentioned earlier him being a complimentary player. I don't really see any of the receivers I've seen in this draft class so far as being a viable number one receiver, but a lot of these guys can be valuable number twos. I mean, if he had to be your number one receiver, it'd be okay, but you're gonna need a lot of receivers to pair with him. Like, if you don't have, say, a Julio Jones, a Odell Beckham, but you want him to be your number one, you're gonna need some other receivers to make up for that, for not having that number one, because I don't think he's quite that guy. He is pretty good, and if you pair him with someone like an Odell Beckham or something like that, he would be immensely valuable. Take the pressure off of him. But again, I don't see him as a number one receiver. He can be in the right situation. I think he'd be very valuable for a running team. Somewhere like, say, the Dallas Cowboys, where they obviously don't need a receiver now with Amari Cooper. But something like that, where they are primarily a running football team, he could probably be a number one there, because they're not valuing the pass as much as some other teams. But Dallas seems to be liking more nuanced route runners, and AJ Brown does have some good route running, but he's 230 pounds. He's not going to be running routes as well as some of the smaller guys. But yeah, I like AJ Brown a lot. Ole Miss puts out pretty good receivers usually. He's a junior, if anyone was wondering, but he's coming out a year early. But yeah, I think I've said everything I wanted to about AJ Brown. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions, comments, agree with what I have to say, disagree, leave it down in the comments below. And share if you want, subscribe if you want. And until the next video, let's get this discussion going. Bye, guys.